a harpist who started her career as a child prodigy, not only as a performer, but as a teacher. She was admitted to the Paris Conservatory when she was just 10 years old, and by the time she was 12, people were lining up to take lessons from her, and some of them were twice her age. We'll hear her harp concerto in C minor now, performed by Emmanuel Saison and the Avignon Regional Orchestra.
Mr.G the mermaid said,
"Hey, Mrs. J.
Catch with heart
Glad
eyes.
you're here."
Stream Elements said, MRG_live is now live. Streaming Just Chatting, Mr.G live US States, main live geography class.
Should I go with the brunettes or the blonde today, Mrs. J? Your choice.
MRSJ the mermaid said, both long.
Both? Okay. Lights, camera, speaker. Hey Google, pause.
How about that Mr.G shit? Let's listen to that.
Mr.G, 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 he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr.G, 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 he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Americana writer, gonzo education. I met him while streaming on a Hawaiian vacation. Unworn white Levi's were covering his femur until he covered them with coffee and creamer. Mr.G, Mr.G. Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Americana writer, got no education. I met him while streaming on a Hawaiian vacation. Unworn white Levi's were covering his femur until he covered them with coffee and creamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, he's your average teacher, gone IRL streamer. Mr. G, 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 Mr. G.
MRSJ the Mermaid. Yay, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G, Mr. G,
Hi, I'm Mr. G. Welcome to my class. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday.
MRSJ the Mermaid.
Hey, Mrs. J.
Said, we back in class, Yahoo.
Yes. It's time for a quick learning lesson. I hear the crazy lady downstairs starts yelling, yikes, I have a stalker. But today we're going to be learning about Pennsylvania. Hey Google, volume 3.
MRSJ the Mermaid. Said, MRGLIVG MRGLIV Moses MRG Live Keanu.
Hey Google, play Mozart. I apologize for the crazy immigrant lady you hear in the background. She doesn't work, she doesn't go to school, she stands outside and yells in a foreign language towards my apartment. Hey Google, volume 8. Hey Google, can you repeat that?
Sure. I looked for I apologize for the crazy immigrant lady you hear in the background, but it either isn't available or can't be played right now.
Hey Google, volume 10. Hey Google, can you repeat that?
Sure. I looked for I apologize for the crazy immigrant lady you hear in the background, but it either isn't available or can't be played right now.
Hey Google, can you repeat that?
Said,
Sure.
Is this
I looked for I
actually
apologize
live?
for the crazy immigrant lady you hear in the background, but it either isn't
Yes,
available
we're
or
live.
can't be played right now.
you just triggered my Google lol. MRSJ the Mermaid.
Yes, we're live. We're learning about Pennsylvania today. Get on your
Yes,
Pennsylvania
it's live.
shoes, all right? Those would be like Amish shoes, you know, because they make good shoes. Anyways, that joke, was over your head. All right, today we're going to be learning about Pennsylvania. And once again, it's weird. I go live and then she just comes outside.
He's your skunk cake.
She,
Said,
she fake
Hello,
sneezes a
Mr.
lot.
G.
She comes outside and looks at my apartment and goes, achoo, achoo. I'm like, what the fuck? Earlier today, I'm like, what are you fucking doing, lady? It's so weird. She stands in my mailbox and just waits there. I don't want to, she has to leave me alone, Anyways, today we're going to be learning about Pennsylvania. If you're new to the class, the way these classes work is I'll lecture for about 15 minutes about the state that we're learning about. We've so far covered almost 40 states. We only have about 10 states left. This is the last East Coast state. If you look on the map over here, you can see that we are orange are the states that we've done. So you can see that we've covered a good portion of the continental United States. We can cover in Maine. We did Maine last Monday, and we can color in Pennsylvania. So then we just have the states in the Midwest here. We have Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, Indiana, and then we have Texas and Florida. And also on the West Coast, we have California.
RSJ the Mermaid said, so close to finishing.
Yeah, I saved the best for last.
Said, cool.
Hey, I saved the best for last. We still have Texas, California, Oregon, Washington. Well, I mean, it's different. You can't really say the best. They're like, I consider the states like my children. I love them equally, but not really. But, yeah. Anyways, so the way these lectures work is I lecture for about 20 minutes about the particular state, and then we do a short slideshow of different foods from that state, different famous people from the state, and different landmarks from that state. Like I said, we're almost done with all 50 states. After that, we might go to countries and oceans, or there's lots of opportunities, but it's generally a geography class, so which is pretty universal too. So once again, we're learning about Pennsylvania today. I almost said Philadelphia. Philadelphia is the largest city in Pennsylvania, about 1.5 million. It's a very large city. Overall, the state of Pennsylvania, it's one of the most historic states in the United States. Independence Hall is where the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence were both signed. Betsy Ross came up with the first United States flag in the state of Pennsylvania. Sorry, I'm having problems with one of my contact lenses. What else? Well, I mentioned Philadelphia is the largest city in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a very large state. The population is almost 13 million. And they have 20 electoral votes. If you remember at the last election, Pennsylvania was one of the swing states that was heavily disputed. And that's because the largest city in Pennsylvania, 1.5 million, Philadelphia, they generally always vote Democratic. And the rest of the state, the other 12 million, 11 million people, they tend to lean more Republican. But overall, like I said, they have 20 electoral votes, and it's a swing state, so it's a very competitive state for presidential and primary elections.
You_, said, have you ever been to Pennsylvania?
No, I've never been to Pennsylvania. I'i've never been east of the Mississippi River.
New merches here, PogChamp, check it out. https://merch.streamelements.com/FGS.
My mother, I've known people from Philadelphia, from Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, and my mom visited there quite a few times. I know when she was young, she took a picture of her hand in the Liberty Bell. The Liberty Bell is the famous bell, which most people don't know why. They know about the Liberty Bell. It's the bell with the crack. And people used to go there and they would stick their hand in the crack, but then it started to get worn away, and COVID and 9/11 and everything. So now you can't actually stick your hand in it. But there was an old photograph of my mom when she was really young and pretty. She must have been 20 years old. There's a picture of her sticking her hand inside the Liberty Bell. And of course, she's not with us anymore. And so I always wanted to travel to Philadelphia, so I could stick my hand in the Liberty Bell, the same place where my mom put her hand. But like I said, you can't do that anymore. And I also wanted to travel there for a cheesesteak too. My mom, like I said, traveled there in her 20s. There were some old pictures of her with the Liberty Bell. And then also later in life, one of her last years of life, she flew to Philadelphia for a cheesesteak. She really liked their cheesesteaks. Philadelphia is known for their cheesesteaks. If you're ever in Philadelphia and you don't have a cheesesteak, then you might as well be a vegetarian. You better be a vegetarian. I'm not a vegetarian. I am at home. I eat a lot of vegetables, but I do eat meat every other day. I'm probably going to eat some meat today. But yeah, Philadelphia is known, Pennsylvania in particular is known for their, or Philadelphia in particular, the Philly cheesesteak. And, that's, cut beef with peppers and onions, and usually like a sauce and stuff like that. What else? I mentioned Independence Hall. We were talking about Philadelphia. One of the most famous scenes from a movie in Philadelphia is the scene from Rocky. That's the Philadelphia Museum of Art, where dun 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 Dun, 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 dun. I'm not going to sing it. All right, you know the song. The theme from Rocky where he's running up the stairs, that was filmed at the Philadelphia Museum of Natural Art. And the stairs are a very famous landmark and photographed. I'll show you a picture of it in just a minute here. Some of the top industries in the state of Pennsylvania are broadcasting, telecommunications, healthcare, construction. They're one of the largest cities on the East Coast and one of the oldest cities as well. Last week we learned about the state of Maine, in Plymouth, Maine, being one of the oldest cities in the United States, as well as Portland, Maine, being two of the oldest cities in the United States, established, I believe, 1621 and respectively 1624.
Mr.G the mermaid said, broadcasting, I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, also construction and just like how New York City's a major metropolitan area that a big business goes there, media, broadcasting, writers and artists are known to always frequent Philadelphia. And you used to have that in Baltimore. It's become more urbanized, I guess. Yeah, Philadelphia is one of the oldest cities in the United States.
Said, by the way, the title still says Maine.
Fucking A. Sorry. Thank you for pointing that out, though. Yeah, so, let me go and fix that.
You underscore said, no problem.
I did a dope, like Homer said.
Nightbot said, Mr.G the mermaid to the stream title has been updated to Mr.G Live US States, Pennsylvania, Live Geography class.
Thank you, Mrs. J.
Nightbot
I appreciate that.
said, help Mr.G with a donation through Stream Elements, https://
Okay.
streamelements.com/mrg_live.
So yeah, any donations or follows are also well appreciated. If you're interested in knowing more about me, your teacher, Mr. G, you can go to the website on the screen here, gxnetwork.live, and that has a summary of my education and different jobs and teaching jobs that I've had in my life.
Mr.G the mermaid said, check out Mr. G's website,
Thank you, Mrs. J.
https://gxnetwork.live/.
Thank you, Mrs. J. Mrs. J is the top student in the class.
Stream Elements said, the new merch is here, pod
Right.
check it out, https://merch.streamelements.com/mrg_live.
Okay, so I'll show you a picture of the Liberty Bell right here. That's the Liberty Bell right there. I guess, it would have taken me a while. Maybe I could have found the picture of the one with my mom, but that's the Liberty Bell. People used to stick their hand in it and take a picture. Hawaii actually also has a Liberty Bell that's an exact replica of the one in Philadelphia. Some more things about the state of Pennsylvania. We've talked about Philadelphia. Like I said, one more thing about Philadelphia. Philadelphia is one of the oldest cities in the United States. A lot of the firsts happened in Philadelphia. The country's first hospital was in Philadelphia in 1751. 1651, I believe. 1751. The first library was in 1731. The capital of Pennsylvania is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and the population is only 49,000. So that really puts things in perspective. The city of Philadelphia, one of America's largest cities, 1.5 million just in the metro area. I imagine or just in the city limits, there's 1.5 million. I imagine it's even larger with the entire metro area. But 1.5 million, and the capital only has 50,000. That puts things in perspective. Pennsylvania is known to have a lot of small towns. The majority of the Amish in the United States live in the state of Pennsylvania. And surprisingly, there's over 250,000 Amish in the United States, and there's some in Canada too, is included in that number. So the state of Pennsylvania is broken up into one major city, Philadelphia, and then a lot of other small towns. Other small towns that they're known for, Portland also is a major city in the state of Pennsylvania. So there's two major cities, Portland and Philadelphia. Harrisburg, like I said, is the capital.
Said.
Only
You can
50,000
send
people.
Mr. G, Moses, and Keanu packages to 11
And also Gettysburg
P.O. Box
happened in
37305
the state of
Honolulu,
Pennsylvania.
Hawaii 96823.
So Gettysburg, one of the most frequented visited national sites, the Gettysburg grave site is also Gettysburg National Park. And the Battle of Gettysburg happened in the state of Pennsylvania, as well as the Gettysburg Address by the famous Republican President Abraham Lincoln was given in the state of Philadelphia. The state of Pennsylvania, I keep saying that. Golly. Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, I keep saying that. We're not talking about Philadelphia, we're talking about Pennsylvania. So where did Pennsylvania get its name? Well, William Penn, of course. The way the story goes is William Penn and King George lost a gambling debt to William Penn. This isn't documented. Either way, King George owed William Penn some money. And so in return, he gave him the area that's known as Pennsylvania. The gambling debt, you won't find much information about that. One thing is for sure, is William Penn, one of the most underrated American heroes who didn't become an American until 1984, actually, when they were like, wow, this guy did so much, for the early United States. Let's go ahead and make him an American citizen as well as Betsy Ross. But
38,804. Said. Pennsylvania is home of Bernard Hopkins' oldest person to both win and defend a boxing world championship at age 52.
Wow, at 52. Good score one for the 50-year-olds, right? But William Penn, he was the first person to settle the area that's known as Pennsylvania. And that was all the way back in the 1600s, long before the United States existed. Back when there was nobody there except Native Americans. And generally, English settlers encountered hostile Native Americans. The area of Pennsylvania was one of the rare places in the United States where they were actually friends. And one reason for that was because of William Penn. William Penn had these they were crazy ideas at the time. Not crazy, but they were very rebellious ideas of freedom of religion. William Penn, he was a devout Christian, and he was a member of the Christian Friends, I think it was. But he wanted an area that had freedom of speech and freedom of religion, and a lot of things that the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence are based upon. And that's why when you hear about the Declaration of Independence and the signature, you don't hear that expression too much, but put your William Penn right there. And that's because William Penn was so instrumental in the drafting of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, which were both drafted in Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So it's one of the most frequented American landmarks as well. Benjamin Franklin was from Philadelphia, famous statesman. Wrote one of the most famous American autobiographies as well.
U_ said, Mr. G, you know more information than my geography teacher.
Well, I've taught geography. I've taught many geography classes, and it's something that I'm interested in.
Devious _ Dr. D.
I did, research
said,
beforehand.
Mr. G, UDA man. Cody 8804 said, is a coach from Pennsylvania named Jerry Sandusky. Devious _ Dr.
Sounds
D.
familiar. Oh,
said,
that guy, yeah.
We call
He
you
was a
PRFFG.
disgusting. We're not talking about that guy, but we will talk about the universities. One thing that the state of Pennsylvania is known for is the top universities, maybe more than any other state in the United States, other than California. Some of
Devious
the
_ Dr.
top
D.
universities that you'll
said,
find.
We talk about Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, but Sylvester Stallone's actually from Hell's Kitchen, New York, believe it or not. He's not from Philadelphia. But yeah, it's a famous movie, Rocky, was filmed in Philadelphia. But back to the universities. The schools and universities The city schools in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are some of the lowest performing schools in the United States. But the universities in the state of Pennsylvania are very high performing. Some of the top public and private schools in the state would be Penn State, where the disgusting Sandusky worked, and University of Pennsylvania is one of the oldest schools in the United States. Carnegie Mellon is one of the top private schools, about student population about 14,000. You've heard of Andrew Carnegie. I actually dedicated part of my book to Andrew Carnegie, who is responsible for the public libraries in the United States. But I don't want to get off topic. But Carnegie Mellon is named after Andrew Carnegie. Also, Temple University is the top school in Philadelphia, and Rutgers as well. And Penn State, we mentioned Penn State. Rutgers actually, with their online program, I think they have a student enrollment of like 70, 80,000 students. So one thing that you won't hear on the mainstream media that I figured out myself is I graduated from the University of Texas in Austin and in 2010. And back then, UT used to have the highest student enrollment, about 50,000 students. And generally that was how many students you could fit into a large university. So after we've been doing these geography classes here, after I've been teaching these classes, I've been researching student enrollment at these large universities, and I see some with 60,000, 70,000. And I'm like, how could that be? University of Texas always had like 50,000. University of Wisconsin as well would have like 50,000. How could they all of a sudden have 20, 30,000 more additional students?
Down goes Fraser.
Hey, Cody, hello. So, down goes Fraser. Down
Devious
goes Fraser.
Dr. Doom said, the office was in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Is it true that it's always sunny in Philly?
No, it's not always sunny in Philly. They have horrible weather. Hey, Google, what's the weather like in Philadelphia? I should have thought of that.
Currently in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, it's 48 degrees and sunny. Today, it'll be clear with clouds from time to time, with a forecasted high of 48 and a low of 35.
So, that's one of the last TV shows that I watched like 10 years ago, probably. But back to Philadelphia. We talked about some of the student enrollment. Penn State has something like 90,000 students. And the reason they've been able to increase their student enrollment is because of online universities. You don't have to have a limit on the class size as much as you do is in-person learning.
You can send Mr.G, Moses, and Keanu packages to 1117 Avenue.
So online education has just been booming in the past 5 to 10 years, where universities, they're having a lot less students in-person learning, but a lot of people are taking advantage of the Pell Grant, taking advantage of the GI Fund, and receiving their education from home online.
The fun of college is meeting abroad.
And it makes sense.
Pandemic.
It makes sense with technology today. And it's all about education, right? A lot of people, they want to go to college for a college experience or to go to parties and this and that. But, overall, let's be practical. It's about, having a more educated and diverse workforce. So if they're able to increase their student enrollment and their graduation rates, albeit for online education, and so you see a lot of these major universities, they're adding tens of thousands of more students to their enrollment because of the advance of online technology, online learning. All right, so I'm almost done. Well, I'll talk a little bit more. No. So Harrisburg, Lancaster's a big city in Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh's a big city. I guess Pittsburgh's got about 1 million people in there. Hey, Google, what's the population of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
In 2019, the population of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, United States was 302,205.
Okay, well that's city limits, 300,000. If a team has a professional sports team, which Pittsburgh has more than one, they have more than 300,000 people. So the metro area would be larger, would be 300,000. Hey Google, what's the metro area of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania population?
Its metro population is 2,362,453.
What'd I tell you? What'd I tell you? Am I gonna lie to you? No. So the actual city limits is 300,000, but the metro area of Pittsburgh is over 2 million. Same with Philadelphia as well. Except Philadelphia is a much larger city, so you assume their metro area is even larger than Pittsburgh. Okay, one more thing. A lot of famous people come from Pennsylvania. Will Smith, of course. Kevin Hart, Kobe Bryant. A lot of people. Popular agricultural products that come from the state of Pennsylvania are corn, wheat, oats, barley, soy, tobacco, sunflowers, potatoes, and sweet potatoes. Pennsylvania is about far north as you can grow a lot of these things. If you go any further north, you can't go any further. As far as states that border Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania is a pretty large state. It has a border with Lake Erie, has a border with New York, has a border with New Jersey, has a border with Delaware, it has a border with West Virginia, and it has a border with Ohio as well. So yeah, it even touches West Virginia, which is usually considered, pretty much a southern state as well. The area of Pennsylvania is known to grow lots of trees. It was a heavily wooded area.
Said, so many bordering states.
Yeah, I was surprised to learn that too, Mrs. J. The word Pennsylvania, Penn, comes from William Penn, and it was an entirely wooded area when it was first settled by the English, and so it's Penn's Woods is what Pennsylvania means. The only people that were up there were the Native Americans at that time. There wasn't a Spanish colony and there wasn't a French colony, and like I said, the one thing that was different was they weren't hostile Native Americans, and William Penn and his settlers got along with them too. So we talked about the Liberty Bell. A lot of people don't know why they have the Liberty Bell. We were talking about William Penn. William Penn settled the area that's Pennsylvania in the late 1600s, and the Liberty Bell came about the mid 1700s, maybe 1740, 1750. And that was to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of William Penn establishing the colony of Pennsylvania. So this was 1750, 26 years before the United States, before the Constitution was even signed. Like I said, the state of Pennsylvania has an extremely long history. It was the second state to sign the Constitution, and people have been living there and settled there for long before the United States was a country. Philadelphia has always been one of the U.S.'s top port cities as well. If you look at the state flag of Pennsylvania, and the Liberty Bell as well, I have it on the board here. But the state flag here has the coat of arms with the motto, virtue, liberty, and independence. And then it has corn, wheat, and a ship. The ship is to...
Flores J. the Mermaid said, that's a cool flag.
Yeah. The ship is to signify Philadelphia being a top port city. So we have the corn, a wheat cutter, and a ship. And then there's an eagle representing the United States. Their motto is virtue, liberty, and independence. The horses are holding up the shield, and the horses signify trade. The blue, as with the United States flag, signify virtue, liberty, and independence. So both flags, came about actually around the same time period. The United States flag and the state flag of Philadelphia, or Pennsylvania. All right, we're going to start the slideshow in a second here. Maybe get a little background music so we don't hear the crazy lady. Hey Google, volume 2. Hey Google, play Bach, please. William Penn actually never signed the
Here's a Pandora station called Essential Bach.
Okay. Hey Google, volume 2. So I mentioned the Amish. There's over 250,000, over 250,000 Amish, and they're traditional Christians. There's a lot of, they're known to make really good shoes, and also they have roadside stands as well. They live very simple lives, and they believe the Bible is literal too, the majority of it. All right, hey Google, turn it up. Oh, one more thing, Puxatawny Phil. Puxatawny Phil is the famous groundhog that's 150 years old. Yeah, it's pretty old for a groundhog. And he actually, what was it? Summers Grove Cobbler's Knob. Cobbler's Knob. If you've seen the movie with Bill Murray, Groundhog Day, Cobbler's Knob is where Puxatawny Phil lives, and every February 2nd, he comes out. It's a big celebration. It's been going on for 150 years, one of America's oldest holidays. Puxatawny Phil comes out of his hole, and then he looks to see if he sees his shadow. If he sees his shadow, then it's going to be 2 more weeks of winter, and if he doesn't see his shadow, then it's going to be an early spring. So it's just a tradition, and there's different groundhogs around the country, but that's the most famous one, Puxatawny Phil, and that's the original. Go ahead and start the presentation here. I'll show you some different things about Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and we'll start off with the state and some fun facts and some fun food as well. So first off, we were looking at the the flag of Pennsylvania.